Welcome back to Property Play. I'm your host, Elena Saradidis, and today I brought with me Arif Nasser, and we're going to talk all about upsizing.
Yes, a hugely important thing in today's market. I'm actually going through that process right now. So
let's start with, how do you come to the conclusion that you should upsize, and when does that timing kind of feel right?
Yeah, it's all lifestyle, right? So circumstances in my life are changing. We're expecting our second child. I've been in downtown Toronto almost since 2009. So, I went to the bars, I stood in lines on New Year's Eve, and I did all that, and now I'm at an age where it's just like, it doesn't appeal to me anymore. Now what appeals to me is sitting in a backyard and barbecuing and having a good beer, right? Like that's what I just want to do. That also led to the decision, but I think the main thing is giving my kids the space and an area to kind of just enjoy, right? As opposed to being cooped up in a condo. Outdoor space is so important for them, right? In order to just learn, whether it be nature or just walking outside or anything really. And when you're in a condo, that kind of changes. It's like, oh God, do I got to go down these elevators again? Do I got to walk outside? And it's not even it doesn't feel like it's there's
easy.
It doesn't feel like it's easy. It's very difficult to enjoy your time outside when living in a condo. So with two kids, well, one on the way, and my wife also working in the Peel region, it just, in terms of our lifestyle, it just made sense to make that move. Some people who are there's no need for them to sell right now. They just want to test it. A lot of people would have waited, especially in this condo market. But it's all relative at the end of the day. Like we discussed before, you're selling in a low market, but you're also buying in a low market, right? So regardless if you wait when the market picks up for condos, you're going to be buying at a much higher price as well. So think about that relativity when you do make that decision. But in terms of upsizing, it's strictly lifestyle based for the majority of the parts. So going through that process now, we're both very excited. This will be our first real home as a family that we're buying. So really excited about that. But also just the main thing of just making sure my kids are kept happy, and having that outdoor space and spending more time together and that kind of stuff.
And because you are choosing to transact in this market, would you choose to sell before buying, or would you buy before selling? I know everyone knows already what you did, but let's kind of explain the rationality behind it.
Yes, of course. So in this market, and especially with the amounts of inventory that are on the market for condos in downtown Toronto, it was the best decision for us to sell first and then buy, because once you sell, that's that sense of ease, knowing, okay, I have this money coming in. It's a lot easier to kind of determine your finances at that point and what your affordability might look like, as opposed to guessing. And you could run into a situation where you're buying in today's market first, and then your condo sits on the market. The average days on the market in Toronto, I think across all housing types, like 24 days. Right? So in condos, higher. So if I didn't sell my condo, let's say I purchased something and I had a 60-day close, I am kind of shitting my pants right now. Am I going to sell? And I'm not sure if I can say that, but I said it anyway. But the other thing is that also, if you purchase first, that also changes your motivation when selling, right? Because it could end up being a desperate sale because you're closing on a property. Now let's say you have 2 weeks until you're closing now, right? What does that do to your purchase price? At a certain point, yes, you have to sell. It's become mandatory now. And you may have to take an even larger hit than what you would originally take in today's condo market as a result of purchasing first and selling second. But it also depends on the property type, right? So if I lived in a semi-detached home in the beaches right now, it doesn't matter as much because there's such low inventory there. It's a very high demand area, and especially in that micro pocket. So if I had a semi-detached home in the beaches, maybe I could buy first and then sell second. But it all depends on that micro market. But because I had the condo, it only made sense to sell first, know how much I'm dealing with, and then move on to the purchase.
100%. Now, for this new purchase, because you are upsizing.
Yes.
How do you make upsizing as strategic as possible? What should you be thinking about if you're going to upsize? What should be on your must-have list?
So it's different in today's market. I'll put it like that. So I mean, my wife is very easygoing. Thank God. All she wants is a backyard that you can enter from the living room. Like, easy. Like, I am so So that's literally, I'm going to the pictures, and when I'm looking at pictures online, I'm looking at the living room. Is there a backyard that you can enter from the living room? Yes. Okay, let's look at the rest of the house. Doesn't matter about the condition, because we'll renovate, we'll do our own things to it. But I think for us and determining...
Hey, you can on that listing that I told you about, just saying.
Oh yeah, I know. I'm looking at it. But in terms of figuring out the best way to kind of upsize, it all depends on your current situation as well, right? So like for us, I want to find something that's relatively like well priced right now, right? I want to take advantage of the Mississauga market, because I know there's so much more room for growth in a 4 or 5 year period. So for us, it's just a matter of having 3 bedrooms, right? Because that'll be enough for all of us. And we've made a decision that our next home is probably going to be only our 3 to 5 year home, right? Because we're going to capitalize on the potential appreciation that we'll see on a property type in Mississauga, and then sell it in that 5 year period, and then move on, and then maybe find our 10 year home after that. Right. But again, it's all dependent on where the market, I mean, we're real estate agents. We understand the market. Like, I'm working out the numbers, and I'm looking at the stats and looking at the growth chart and saying there's opportunity to be had here.
100%. And I think this is one of the best buyer's market we've seen in a while.
Yes. And
like, there is negotiation room. Interest rates are relatively coming down. Like, there is a little storm of like a really good opportunity if you are a buyer. I don't know about you, but I'm noticing a lot of first timers getting into the market right now.
Yeah. And you know what's funny? It's a lot of these first time home buyers as well are buying condos in downtown Toronto. And it's because the price points and the ability to negotiate. And better yet, I mean, if you look at the stats, 47% of condo sales in downtown Toronto have been under a price point of $600,000, right? That's where all those first time home buyers are going. And they're capitalizing on, like you mentioned earlier, the ability to negotiate, the ability to kind of take your time. Like, there's so many different factors that allow them to make the purchase price, like to make that purchasing experience a little bit easier for them, right?
But that's the key factor. If you are upsizing and you're scared, like, no one's going to buy my property, there are buyers out there.
Yeah.
They are looking for a deal, but so are you.
Yes.
Like, you're looking for a deal too when you're going into the bigger price points, and there's fewer buyers in that price point, which makes it a lot easier for you as well.
Exactly.
As an upsizer right now.
Yes, absolutely.
Like, I would say anything priced between 1.4-ish and like plus, they're seeing a softer market.
Yep.
In general, there's certain pockets that are like hotter than others.
Of course.
But in general, that pocket of the market, that segment of where upsizers usually go, has taken a hit.
Yeah, and that's also due to the fact that there's so much economic uncertainty right now with Trump and his tariffs. I mean, who knows what's going to happen? I mean, a 25% increase in tariffs. I mean, doing trade with the U.S. contributes to 20% of our GDP, right? So a lot of people are thinking about that and saying, how is this going to affect the market in, let's say, a year's time? So there is pent-up demand in the market, but that demand is also kind of sitting on the sidelines to wait and see what happens with Trump and everything that's happening there.
But the key in real estate and the key in everything usually is you move when everyone else doesn't want to.
Exactly, because that's where you have the ability to capitalize.
100%. When there is pent-up demand, which we are seeing, there is going to be an influx of people that are looking to get into the market at a later date. Mm-hmm. And those people, when they get in, they're going to be like, now there's a lineup.
Yep.
Everyone wants a home again. Everyone wants a home together. And what happens to prices? They go up.
Yep.
It's inevitable. And it happens in every market.
And it's going to happen.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's going to happen. And we have a lot of clients who are saying, oh, our price is going to come back down now. Like, I mean, interest rates are dropping, right? And what we've seen is prices remaining very, very stable. You know, even with that excess supply in certain segments, prices are stable. We don't see them coming down, maybe by 1%. But I mean, you're not going to lose out on an opportunity today to wait for the market to come down by 1%. It just doesn't make sense, you know? But the other thing is, like, when we talk about opportunity, there are sellers who are willing to accept conditional offers on the sale of buyers' homes. You know, you wouldn't have seen this.
My reaction, we're agreeing to disagree.
Yeah, well, I mean, I've seen it.
It depends on what side I'm on. Can I just say that?
Yeah, okay, fair.
If I am the seller, I absolutely don't want that clause.
Yeah. But what I did say, there are sellers who are willing to accept it because there is property that is sitting on the market.
If you are a seller, though, and you accept something like that, you should really understand what they're trying to sell.
Yes.
Like, what is the product that they're looking at? What price point are they looking at? Is that product moving in this market?
Right.
Or are they going to have a problem? Is there a higher likelihood of this deal falling apart and me racking up more days on market? Mm-hmm. So, like, I'm very overly cautious with that. We actually have someone right now, another agent at on my team, actually. She sold her own house. I was her agent. Okay, I was her agent.
We just had a whole thing about that selling your own place.
We had a whole conversation about you not selling your own place. And let me tell you, emotionally invested.
Yeah.
So emotionally invested. She was probably my neediest client ever. She called me every 5 seconds. What's going on with my house?
Who was your best client?
You.
Oh, okay.
You were my best agent client. I've had a few.
Yeah.
Actually, no, there's 2 of you.
Okay.
There's 2.
Yeah.
One was a commercial agent that used me to sell his condo.
Yep.
He was so easy. I don't even he was like, where do I sign? How do I do this? He was a little like pushy on the price point, but like I got him what he needed.
Yeah.
So like he was good. And he also didn't tell me he wanted to sell, but we just got so sidetracked.
Right.
Where were we at before? We were talking about selling your own place.
Yeah.
The buyer that purchased her property made a long closing that helped our seller because she didn't buy anything yet.
Right.
But then called me recently and said, hey, Elena, we haven't sold the house. Yeah. You see where this is going?
Wow. Yeah.
There's no condition on the sale of their home. We haven't sold their house and they need to sell and they'd like more time so they don't have to drag down their price.
And what did you decide to do?
It's in the seller's hands. Mm-hmm. If my client would like to extend, absolutely no problem.
Right.
We'll extend. But she's up for a mortgage renewal at that time, which means if she renews her mortgage, how much is she paying?
Right.
What are the penalties like? How much is the break fee? What's the extension? What's like all of these other economic factors get put back in when someone's asking for an extension.
Right.
So it is a very, very difficult position to be in. And it's something that if I was representing the buyer, we would have put their house up for sale before we bought something.
In this,
or 100% had a sold conditional with an escape clause in their contract.
Yes.
I would have been very, very scared to do it the other way around. So I actually had a couple buyers that have bought before selling in this market.
Oh, wow,
so
okay.
I'm not going to say I'm like,
don't do it.
I don't do it. I'm not going to say that. It's dependent on the situation that we're in.
Right.
And if they're like, I would be completely fine to close on this property. I'm financially good to close on this property without selling my property. No problem.
Fine.
No problem. You don't want the stress. You don't want to beat the hassle, whatever. If you cannot close on the property you're going to buy without
the funds
selling
or proceeds,
it, do not buy before selling. Like, especially in this market.
Yeah.
Like, why would you put yourself in a position where you need to take less than what you should take?
Exactly.
And there is negotiation room. Let's be honest.
There always is.
There's negotiation room. There is, I'm selling my property. I'm negotiating. Everyone walks away relatively happy. For a deal to be good, every side hurts a little bit. That's the reality.
But there's compromise on every side, right? And that's where that...
The moment there's blood in the water, and blood in the water means you have to close in less than 30 days on a property that you cannot close on without your funds from this sale. What happens to your sale price?
Boo! It goes
we
down.
need like a whole like action like on that. But like that is the worst position to be in. The worst position to be in is I bought a property. I'm having trouble selling my property. It is the market. It could be nothing else. It's
right.
the market. And now I can't sell, but I need to close.
Yeah, it's a tough situation. I would never want to be in that situation. I'm a very risk-averse person to begin with. So it's like...
I wonder why you chose to sell before buying.
So that is exactly why I chose to sell before buying.
And you want to know what's in your bank account. Like you want to know how much money you have. And if it means taking a pause, which people can do. We've put people into temporary rentals before we find something that fits their criteria. But like know what you have before you go shopping.
Exactly.
Because you don't... Like the worst thing I could ever get is someone that calls me and goes... We bought this property and like we can't afford to close on it because we haven't sold this property. Like how would you feel as the agent that was involved in the transaction?
That's our worst nightmare.
We wake up screaming about it.
Yeah.
No, but it's true. Like our job is not to put you in a bad economic position. Our job is to do the best job for you.
Exactly.
So what makes the most amount of sense? And that means I'm going to ask you some uncomfortable questions about your finances and figure out what makes the best what's the best move for you? And if the best move is buy first, then sell, or sell first, then buy, that's what we're going to do. But our job is to take care of the client.
Exactly. And to understand, and you're right. Those are very tough questions to ask. But at the end of the day, we are on our client side, 100%, right? So we're always in their corner. We always got their back, and we're only doing what's best for them.
Yeah. And it's sometimes about being a little bit more creative. Like we talked about upsizing, but now we're going to talk about smart sizing. So when you're downsizing from a bigger property, I have a client now. It's a mom and a son.
Yep.
The son just got pre-approved and the mom needs to downsize. The mom refuses to sell before finding out what she buys. But she needs to buy.
Or she needs to sell.
She needs to sell to buy.
Right.
Okay? So creativeness. The son has the pre-approval already. We buy a property that the mom also likes. The mom knows where she can move. Mm-hmm. You're not homeless. We have a place for you. It's been taken care of. Then we sell the mom's place. Then we buy a second place.
Right.
So we're being so creative in how we do this so we can make them feel more comfortable with the transaction. It's scary not knowing what your next move is.
100%.
We're not going to say it's not scary, but we're here to hold your hand and walk you through it together and find you the right property.
I 100% agree. And I mean, as agents, we also get scared when we're involved in it ourselves. Like I'm going through those emotions right now. I'm lucky that we were able to sell my place before, but I mean, as a result of that, the buying process is a lot more enjoyable.
Do you know how many agents, after I've helped them do their transactions, they'll turn around and be like, I finally understand what our sellers or what our buyers go through?
I mean, it's because sometimes when you're dealing with them, you're like, what the hell is going on? Like, just make that decision. Like, there's no doubt about it.
You're like,
you know,
it's
sometimes
5K.
it's fine. Yeah, it's 5 days. Like, it's okay. And then when it's your own property, you're like, no. So we actually were on the phone during these offers, like, no, this needs to change. This needs to change. And we're like, you get it, right? Like it really makes you aware of the whole process in a little bit more detail because you're going through it yourself. We've been through it a million times, but never for ourselves. So definitely.
And now you knew what it felt like to get the call on the other end when you were the buyer or when you were the seller and being like, hi, so listen, this is what's going on with the offers. This is what's going on right now. Yeah. This is how we're doing it. I'm going to call you back. And then you'd be like, she's calling me back. When is she going to call me back? Pacing back and forth in the living room.
And talking to my wife or be like, I don't know what's happening yet. We'll find out soon.
Yeah. But now you know exactly what it's like on the other side and like how our sellers react when they're purchasing.
I can say it makes complete sense.
Oh my God, I've sent people McDonald's to their house during this process. No, because I can hear it on their phone, the sheer panic. Yeah. And like it's an emotional process. Like whether you're buying or whether you're selling, there's emotions heightened in it. And like, you're sitting there and like, did I get it? Did I not get it? Am I going to sell tonight? Am I not going to sell tonight? And you're panicking. So like I've Uber Eats McDonald's to my clients' houses.
That's amazing.
And been like, it's going to be fine. Here's a McFlurry and some French fries. And like, just sit, chill, eat. I'll call you when we're ready. I'm like, watch Love is Blind or like do something. Just have your phone on ringer.
Yeah.
And like, we'll take care of you.
Oh, I love it. And honestly, huge help. You've been absolutely a huge help. And I loved it so much. Like the experience was great. I mean, she's fantastic. I'm sure you guys already know that though.
I was like, I brought him in. He's another real estate agent. He's like, yeah, she's great. She's just great. He's great. Also great or I wouldn't work with him.
Yeah, I know. There we go.
Like that's actually a fact. Trust me, the worst client you could ever have is an agent.
But here I am sitting on her podcast.
Yeah, 100%. No, because you were actually one of the better ones.
There we go. Yeah,
top 2 for sure.
Yeah, but you've only had 2.
No, I've had at least 5 agents that have represented themselves, like not represented themselves. I represented them.
Right.
But I've only ever had 2 that were this level-headed.
Okay.
Like you were actually very level-headed through the transaction.
Yeah.
And I think it's because you're such a nice guy. You're just so like, it's going to be fine. Like he's very calm.
At the end of the day, she knew the bottom line. She knew the number I needed to hit. She got it done. And that's all I can say. Right. And that's why I was so level headed. I mean, but that's also so important to discuss with your agent as well in advance to selling anything is you want to be open and honest with them. So we know ourselves what to deal with and how to work for you and with you, as opposed to like maybe potentially working against you because we didn't talk about certain financial situations or anything else that mattered during that process. So just be open and honest with any of your real estate agents because that also will help you get more money in the end.
And it works vice versa too. Like the communication works both ways. Like I told you a range.
Yeah.
And I was like, worst case scenario, this is it. Best case scenario, this is it. And we landed somewhere in the middle.
Yep.
And like, that's it.
Yeah.
And it's like, this is the worst case scenario. The market is uneasy. If we get this, like this is the lowest I can see you getting. Mm-hmm. This is the highest I can see you getting. And if like, let's push it.
Yeah. And as long as you're okay with those numbers, everything else kind of works itself out, right? And there's no more stress at that point. Those expectations are set and everything else just comes along the way.
Yeah. And I think on the phone calls too, because I knew where you wanted to end and I knew it was possible. That also helped because you were like, okay, you're also telling me I'm not crazy in this moment. So like, we're okay.
Yeah.
You were hired on to tell me if I'm being crazy. Yeah. If you're telling me that you're okay. And I'm like, yeah, I'm telling you, you're fine. Like, this is okay. Let's keep going.
Yeah. And that's why I hired you, because I mean, need that rational head.
But I think it's because he also, our offices are very close to each other downstairs.
Yeah.
And like, he's seen my agents interact when it was their properties to sell. And me being like, you can't do that. So I think that's also why he was like, oh, she can be the voice of reason. Yeah. She'll tell me if I'm not. But you need it. You get emotional.
100%.
Oh my God. Once again, it's Property Play. If you like content like this, make sure to like, follow, and subscribe. Thank you so much for coming back.
Thank you.
And we'll see you soon.
Sounds great.